So, what we are starting today is actually similar to that first lesson we did. We're going to find vertex and axis of symmetry again today, but this time we are not going to look at the graphs. So there's a few graphs just to get you started, but after that we will just look at equations. So, our axis of symmetry, we talked about it before, it's the line points are reflected across, or right in the middle, right, reflected across right here. So like on this one, if I go 2 to the left, I go 2 to the left, I have that point. We're going to find this line without looking at the graph. So we're going to look at x squared minus 6x plus 4, which is this graph. So I know my axis of symmetry, just looking at it, I know it's going to be x equals 3, because that's what this is on. But we're going to find it without looking at the graph. This graph is just to check our work. So we've talked about this a little bit before. I'm going to look at x squared minus 6x plus 4. This first thing in front is A, the second thing is B, and the third thing is C, right? A, B, and C. We did this before. Nope. I can use the numbers in front to find my axis of symmetry by using this formula here. But before I do that, what number is in front for A, even though we're not writing it down?
1.
1.
2.
It's a 1. So A is 1, B is not just 6, it's negative 6, C is 4. My axis of symmetry is at negative b divided by 2 times a. And then we always have to have that equals x or x equals part to show our axis of symmetry.
Divided by
2 times a, or 2a. So all I need to do is fill in these numbers for a and b, and that'll get me my axis of symmetry. So I'm going to go negative, b is negative 6, over 2 times, and it's always the 2 times at the bottom. What? Yeah, because it's a negative b. So negative negative is really going to make it a positive. But I just haven't done that part yet. I'm not skipping steps. Alright, so, and the bottom part is always 2 times, and then a is 1. Negative, negative 6 means it's really positive. 2 negatives make positive.
divided by 2 3.
Over 2 times 1 is 2, which is 6 over 2 is 3, which is what looking at my graph, that's what I got. 3 equals, I gotta have my equals x or x equals there to show it's my axis of symmetry.
Instead of having a graph and making it easy to find it,
Yeah.
you want us to do it with just...
With just the numbers thing. The graph is just to check our work on this first couple problems. After this, no more graphs. So, x equals 3 by filling in negative b over 2 times a. We're going to practice a couple of these. We're going to find the axis of symmetry of this one right here. And I'm going to write my formula down so I don't forget it. Negative b over 2a. X equals negative b.
So we could just like not put the negative and put 4, right?
You could, yeah. Yeah, if you're going to skip a step, that's fine. I'm not going to skip steps because we're just starting it off. And I don't like doing that. So I'm going to find my axis of symmetry of x squared minus 4x plus 1. Just like last time, there is a 1 in front of that x squared. So if I'm going to go negative b, I'm going to go negative 4, which is really going to be a positive, but I'm not going to skip that step. Divided by 2 times, a is 1. And then I just need to finish calculating this. Negative 4 is really positive 4. 2 times 1 is 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And then because it's axis of symmetry, I got to do equals x. Because that's how I show its axis of symmetry. Just like vertex was in parentheses because it was a coordinate, this I got to do equals x. X equals 2. That's all it is. Plug in your b, plug in your a, solve it. First thing class problem, find the axis of symmetry of the one in the box.
Wait. This is a square. So
Just the number. So I don't care about the squared part. All I want is the number.
So that'd be 4 times, so that'd be negative 4?
Okay. So 8 on top, yeah. Divided by 2 times negative 2, which is negative 4 on the bottom. So 8 divided by.
So what I wrote it wrong?
Just get rid of the square.
Is the square...
I don't care. I just want this number.
So I was right, was it before?
On the bottom.
No,
Which is about 8 on top.
negative 2.
Okay, negative 4 is on the bottom, right? 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. But where'd that did go?
It's still...
There you go. Now you got one last step. What's 8 divided by negative 4? And don't forget the equals X will show for Alright, alright. So, help me out on this one. Let's start with DeAndre. What's this gonna look like when I fill the numbers in my formula?
Put -8.
So we're gonna go -8 on top, right?
Yeah.
Over what?
2 times 8.
Times -3.
-2.
Oh, -2.
What?
-2. Remember, A is the one in front. A, B, C is the number on its end. Chill it. We're not really gonna use C today at all. It gets ignored for a lot of today. All right. So over, what's on the bottom, DeAndre?
What?
What's on the bottom part? 2 times.
-2.
Yep. All right. Now we're gonna go through it and solve it. Ira, what's on this top?
It's not Tuesday.
Ira,
What?
what's on the top part right here?
Negative.
I know. Like after I simplify, what do I get?
Oh,
Positive. Isn't it everyone
Positive
who works
8,
for
right?
the tribe gets their paycheck today?
Yeah.
Positive 8 over, and then on the bottom, Ira, 2 times -2.
-4.
Four. And then Lucas, our final answer.
Oh no.
On your favorite.
Lucas.
Just tell me.
-2.
-2.
Equals
Yeah.
X.
Perfect. Put the equals X so we know. -2 equals X.
Just get on with it.
Oh, we will. All right. This is about half of what we're doing today. So we're actually doing a second piece, but this is going to be a big part of it.
Do you have to graph it?
No, not for a while. Another couple of days. So we're gonna find the vertex. We're gonna find the vertex. So we're gonna find the vertex of x squared minus 6x plus 4. And I actually graphed it right here. My vertex is my very bottom point,
Lucas.
right here. And we're not gonna use the graph except just to check our work. And our graph is at 3, -5 is our vertex.
Would you write it?
So I need to make sure I get my answer 3, -5. So our vertex,
Where'd you get that?
we'll see. If you guys don't remember, when we talked about finding vertex and axis of symmetry the first time, part of the vertex and axis of symmetry are the same. Your axis of symmetry is the same as the x and the vertex.
it's just -5.
So we're gonna have to find that. So my axis of symmetry that I find is just like I did earlier. The x in my vertex is the same as the AOS. So if you find your axis of symmetry, you already found half your vertex. The x in your vertex is the same as your AOS. The harder part is when you find the y in your vertex. So after you find your axis of symmetry, you need to find that y. And what you're going to do is you're going to take that x number and plug it into your equation.
What does that say?
Same as AOS? That part?
No, the inside the vertex.
Oh, this is negative b over 2a, comma, x equals negative b over 2a. And which is just kind of a way of saying your vertex is this, x in the vertex is the same as axis of symmetry. So we're going to start by finding the axis of symmetry because that's the exact same thing as the x in the vertex. So negative b over 2 times a. So -6 over 2 times 1. I think we actually just did this one. -6 makes it positive. 2 times 1 is 2. 6 over 2 is 3. The x in my vertex is the same thing as your AOS. So if I'm going to find my vertex, same thing as my AOS to start with. Exact same number. Okay.
Bro, this is too many steps.
The y in the vertex, it's not. Once you find the AOS, you've done half the vertex. Okay. I found the x in my vertex. To find the y, all I need to do is I'm going to take this 3 I just found, and I'm going to plug it into my x, and I'm going to solve it.
You have too many arrows on the right.
We'll keep going. It's not really super tough. You just have to remember the x and the vertex and your AOS are the same, and then you just plug that number back in. So I'm going to plug in 3 for every x. So I'm going to go 3 squared minus 6 times 3 plus 4. 3 squared minus 6 times 3 plus 4. And I'm just going to plug it into Desmos. Let's make it easy. So 3 squared minus 6 times 3 plus 4. So let me grab Desmos here. Here does other work. So I had 3 squared minus 6 times 3, and then plus 4? plus 4. I plug it in, I get negative 5. The y in my vertex is negative 5. So my axis of symmetry, same as the x in the vertex. And then I found my y by plugging in that number in for x.
But we already know what it is. It's on the graph.
That's true. But
So why did you do all that work then?
this time, my graph. The graph was just there to connect them. Okay,
Well, you just got me confused on that stupid graph.
well, we're going to do another one then.
Oh my gosh.
So we're going to find the vertex on this problem. So I've got my A, I got B, I got C, I got 1 right in front there.
Just put 4.
We're going to start by finding our AOS, because the AOS is the same as the X in the vertex. So I'm going to find that first, real quick.
4 over 2 times
So,
1.
The AOS, negative B over 2 times A, negative negative 4, over 2 times A is 1. That is 4 over 2, which is really just 2. Okay, I already found half my vertex now, because it's the same as my AOS. I got half my answer. It is 2. I need to find the second half, and to do that, I'm going to take the 2 I found and plug it in for my x in my original equation. So I'm going to go 2 squared minus 4 times 2 plus 1. And whatever that equals is the y in my vertex. And make it easy, just plug it into Desmos. 2 squared minus 4 times 2 plus 1. We go over here to Desmos, get rid of this extra work.
So all we have to do is find the coordinates?
Yep. 2 squared minus 4 times 2 plus 1. And I get negative 3. Negative 3 is the y in the vertex.
Alright, so the recording.
So my vertex
Now you know.
is 2, negative 3.
Shut up.
That's it. You find your axis of symmetry, you did half the work. And then you just need to plug it into Desmos to get the y. That's it. Alright, let's try another in class. I want you to find the vertex of this one in the box. And start by finding the axis of symmetry. So find your axis of symmetry, negative b over 2 times a. Then just plug that number back in.
2 times negative 2. Which would be negative 4. 8 over negative 4. Would make it negative 2.
Yep.
Positive for because they're both negatives. But would that be a positive for because they're both negative? At negative 2 times.
The first number in front is always positive 2. So that's positive 2 times negative 2. Yeah, so it's really negative 4. And just a quick hint, remember, when you type in the thing into Desmos, make sure you put it in parentheses, right here by the squared. Negative 2 parentheses, your number squared. Otherwise, it's going to give you a weird answer.
I got a big number, but I'm not sure. I don't think it's that big, but it's 17. It's negative 2.
And I just put negative 2 times negative
Oh,
2.
you forgot the squared. Put this in parentheses. That's what
What's so good?
you forgot. Okay, we need negative 2, right? There's a negative 2 in front. Negative 2 times negative 2 squared. Negative 2 right here, right? And then x. There should be a negative 2 right here. And then the x.
Wait, right now, are we finding the AOS?
You already did, so it doesn't matter. Because AOS is the exact same as that right there. So you don't even need to work. Otherwise, that's
So this is the AOS.
That's
your
your-
vertex.
the vertex is both. AOS is just the first piece.
The vertex is that specific.
Vertex is both of them put together. We need them both. because vertex is x, comma 1.
So can I just, well, what if it's not a negative number, and it's just 2? So the thing would be negative in general, and it'd be a positive 2?
Yeah.
So I put negative, wait, come here. Confused.
On this. Don't forget, you plug it back in. There's a negative 2 in front, right?
Yep.
Negative 2. And then you're going to go put this next one in parentheses. And that should be
Call me after Lucas.
so negative 2, and then parentheses, negative 2 squared minus, so you've got a negative right there for your 2. Keep plugging in regular 2, not negative 2.
Oh.
There you go. Just got to make sure you typed it in right. You got it set up right. Like, you did the steps right, you just didn't plug it into decimals quite right. Alright, let's go over this one real quick. I think we're at Jake. What'd you get for the x in your vertex?
-2.
Negative 2. Alright, and then for the y, most people were doing it right, they just were plugging it in a little off. So don't forget, when you plug this in, we're going to go negative 2, parentheses, and then plug in the x after you do the parentheses. Alright, then you go negative 2, close parentheses, squared. If you don't do the parentheses like this, you're going to get a weird answer like 17 or something. I think is what it was. And there you go, minus 8. And then you could either do parentheses or you only need the parentheses when you have the squared. If you don't have the squared, it doesn't matter how you do it. Times negative 2 minus 3. And you plug that whole thing in, and what do you get, Lucas?
Oh no.
Paper.
Negative 2.
I think we're at Roy. 5. Sorry, Roy. I skipped you.
Hey,
Negative 2 comma 5.
Need your help.
We'll be right there. Alright, you guys want to do another practice problem, or you think you're good?
Let's do it.
We're good? Alright, skip your exit ticket. I'll turn on Socrative in just a minute. And then we'll go from there. Nope, I'm just turning off so we're not recording.